Knowing Millie the longest and having her DNA. 81 years and 10 months she was with me. And I'm talking about with me because she was assigned to me when I was 5 years old. And she was 2.5. Our parents both worked, professional people. And in those days, they wouldn't have minded a 5-year-old being in charge of a 2.5-year-old. I have the honor of welcoming you to my sister's memorial tribute. Lord, continue to bless this time we share our Father's work, and that comes from Luke 2. The flowers here were sent yesterday from our only 2 cousins, girls. There were the 4 of us every summer together, who are absent because of aging issues. We can all understand that. They are here with us, here, absent members, but here in spirit and love, because we have people absent even with this large crowd, because her influence was very extensive. Founded by retired teachers. I'm so proud of this building. Hawthorne continues. Yes, let's give it a hand. Hawthorne continues to promote their philosophy of caring and sharing. Now, if I could think of 2 words, that is the way my sister lived. She's right here. I feel her. As a song leader at camp. Now camp, there it is. That flag over there, Camp Wanna Scream. Millie reminded me 25 years ago when she led the song Joy, Joy, Joy. Now this song is it's wonderful. Mountains, streams. Yeah. In our hearts, what a precious way to follow our faith. And Proverbs 3:18 just pulls it all together. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who held her first and fast are called happy. In closing, at death, God's people don't ever say goodbye. They just say, we'll see you later. Yes. Amen. Amen.
Hello, I'm Daniel, and this is Jeremy, my little brother. We are the grandkids of Millie Lewis, and this is my dad, son-in-law.
I'm her favorite son-in-law.
We're going to share a couple of songs with you. These were 4 of her favorite songs, of all time. She would sing them to us all the time. And if she were here, she'd be telling me to play something hot and sexy like Home on the Range. All right, I'm going to go with these ones.
Or the deer, okay, we're not. All right.
All right. We'll start out with When the Saints Go Marching In.
When the saints go
sky. I scarce can take it that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, He bled and died to take away my sin. And sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! And sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! How great Thou art! How great Thou art!
Good morning. My name's John. I'm another one of Millie's grandsons, and I'm so glad that you're here today. Before we talk about anything else, I'd love for each of you to kind of take a deep breath with me. Close your eyes if you need to calm yourself down. If you got a phone buzzing in your pocket or you got something bouncing around in your head or your heart that's weighing you down from being present here, take a second to let it go. Focus on your breathing. Take a deep breath in and hold it for a moment and go ahead and let it out. And we're going to do that one more time. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and go ahead and let it out. You can open your eyes if you close them. Never again will this group of people be in the same room together. Think about that. Many of us, I'm still kind of a young dad, I guess, but I've lived 32 years, and it's weird to experience something new for the first time. And if I take a moment to think about it, I'm never going to see this room again, and neither are you. And I think it's a beautiful response to a life well lived, 81 years and 10 months, to respond in a way that it's worth your time to come here, to figure out how to get here, to sacrifice time and responsibility to be here. So I just wanted to say that it's not a small deal that we're all in this room together. It's a big deal, and it's out of response to Millie Bell Lewis. It's a wonderful name. But a couple things that I wanted to point out is that if you've known Millie, you've known a big personality. To have known Millie is to know a big personality. And the word that I mean in the most positive sense that I'd like to attach to Millie is unashamed. She is unashamed in her comments, in her opinions, in her storytelling. But maybe she is most unashamed in her love for her kids, of which she had 5. And those 5 are going to come up now and share a little bit of their heart for their mother. There's my mom, Melanie. Hey there. There's my Aunt Vicky. You can come up too. There's my Aunt Jenny. There's my Uncle Tom. And there's my Aunt Margot. And these are the 5 kiddos of Millie Bell Lewis. And the floor is there.
We are so tickled you are here. We welcome you this morning.
We practice, really. Oh, I forgot my speech.
Okay,
First is laugh.
I've been punted first. Wow. Thank you for being here. I'm not sure I'm going to make it through, but I'm going to try. What can we say about a life well lived? Mom certainly was a living testament to this saying that she had up in her house. Live, laugh, love. It's around here somewhere. She lived purposefully, she laughed heartily, and she truly loved unconditionally. Walking with her, I'm all right. Walking with her these past 8 years through her illness, she seemed to always have this confidence that things were going to be all right. Her confidence was found in her faith that the Lord was going to, I can't even see this. All right, take a breath. That things were going to be all right. Her confidence was found in her faith that the Lord was with her and that He was never going to forsake her. The doctors couldn't understand what kept her going. She never failed to let them know where her strength came from. That strength was seemingly shaken coming home from an appointment when the doctor told her that there was nothing else that they could do. She was quiet for a long time in the car coming home, which doesn't happen very often. But she was quiet. And I wanted her to have that time, and so I was quiet and I didn't try to fill the space. She finally said, whatever the Lord's plan is for me. I began to see her sort of exhale and began that process of resolving to a bigger plan. The second saying she has in her house, to laugh, reminds me of a chemo appointment that I went to with her, where she was spreading cheer through the waiting room as she does in her sweet way. It makes me smile when I think of times like these when a person wouldn't get her joke and she would just kind of wait for the awkward silence to stop and then say, "It's a time joke, just laugh when you get time." So, and lastly, the last part of that saying, to love. I truly feel that she did love greatly, and I know everyone can attest to that today. One last thing that I wanted to share was a poem that she had posted on the front of her folder, her work folder that she worked from, that she sort of affixed there. And when I got this folder and was working through some things that I needed to do for her afterwards, I thought it was very interesting because the way it's read, it's almost like she's talking to us, and I wanted to share that today. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey. For this is a journey we all must take, and each must go alone. It's part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Be still and know that I'm with God. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about her beautiful legacy. Her legacy was built between two bookends. Sheila and Sheila called themselves bookends. And in between there, they built a family. Most of the time there were three of them. Sam, we just honor you, just the three of you all. We really do. There was a beautiful, beautiful outpouring of love through Sheila and Mom, through 10 children, and they made space for the next 52. They made beautiful memories through a camp that gathered children together. Their great love for family just passed on. It was about 3 months ago, that she mailed out to several of us a listing. It's a birthday list. You know, she's a birthday celebrator of all her people. Each one of us feel like we're her favorite. And this came in the mail, and I was overwhelmed with the love of God to our family. How beautiful God is to our family. There's 4 names on this list that she included, and how wonderful, how blessed they are that they are adopted into it. If I call your name, and each one of you have a camper name, a camper number, slip your hand up. Slip your hand up. I'm going to call you Sean Goodyear, Jared Meeks, Jenny Ballman Niter, John Henry, Tripp, Mimi, Jenna, John Ballman, Tyler, Stacia, Sam, David Trisna, Jacob Tice, Jake King, Aaron Trisna, Julia Atchison, Joshua Michael, JC, Adam, Chase Meeks, Emma, Priscilla, Daniel, Joseph, Joe Tice, Paul Atchison, Colton, Jeremy, Jasmine. Would you all just stand? Be honored. Just stand. Just remain standing. Jasmine, Savannah, Brianna, Maria, Mackenzie, Hayden, Addison, Samuel, Bailey Drew, Leah Elmore, Henry Ryan, Caleb, Frankie Jane, Elise Goodyear, Brianna Elmore, Kylie Meeks, Dominique Peavy, Jameson, J-Man, you already standing, Aubrey Grace, Lucy Ryan, Addison Christino, Brooklyn Niter, Madeline Tougeau, Carter Christino, Jackson Niter, TJ, John Sunil, and Everett Skelton. What love of God to our family, the goodness. Thank you all, you can be seated. Thank you.
Some of you might not know me. I'm Millie's oldest from Indiana, and
She thinks he's the favorite.
I was number 1. I just have a relatively short thing to share with you all that together, that if my phone will cooperate. Hang on, give me another 10 seconds. I have some sentiments from similar to others. I feel that this fun event is a celebration of a life well lived and a person well loved. A lot of us knew her as Millie, mom, Nana, friend. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She was a lot of times fun and optimistic. She always enjoyed being with people, and that's why we are so glad you're here today. So much so that when her health started failing, many of you know she actually tried to be here today, physically. She is here, but she really wanted to hold this before she passed, so she could attend the party and hear all the nice things people would say about her. She did. She really did. That's true. We all heard that.
She wanted to see who'd show up.
She talked to her pastor, the whole 9 yards. I was like, Mom, it's going to be kind of awkward. I don't know how that was going to work. You know. Anyway, but she is here is the cool thing. And just changing subject here just a tiny little bit, she didn't like complaining a lot. She did complain, but she didn't like complaining a lot. And that drew a lot of people to her. And there were times that we learned she kept things from us and wouldn't always tell us this, disappointment to the doctor and so on, and as time progressed with her illness. But she tried to make a difference in people's lives, and she won't be forgotten from all the people that we think had the privilege to know her. Mom didn't always have a strong faith in God, and she developed it a little later in life. She admitted to some of her failings and spent some time and effort trying to make amends where she could. In her health struggle at the end, she had comfort and clarity as to the purpose of her time here with us. And I believe she displayed personal grace at the end. And I was with her at that time. My 4 siblings, my Aunt Sheila, my Uncle Sam, my cousin Laura, and others spent more time with her in the last few years, during her illness especially. I'm the farthest away. I live in Indiana. I came to see her every couple of months when I could. And near the end, when we all knew time was short, I called her and I said, Mom, I'll be there on Friday. And I lowered my voice and I said, will that work for you, Mom? And she pretty much just kind of coughed. And I couldn't, it was unintelligible, but apparently it did, because she passed about 7 hours after I got there. We really think she was waiting for me, because she did spend a lot of time with others, and it was very powerful that she may have waited for me. She knew we loved her, and she let us all know that she's going to meet us at the gate.
From time to time, if you're lucky enough, if you're fortunate enough to cross paths with a shining example of God's love, beacon of joy and personality, not just somebody with a good attitude, but a truly brilliant outlook, Millie was one of those. I'm Tom, I'm Millie's number 1 son. I am the favorite. Millie was not shy in telling people I had 4 girls, but I only had 1 boy, and he almost took me down. Being a very mischievous and inquisitive child, I would try to make her life exciting by hanging off the roof in front of the kitchen sink while she washed dishes. I remember Mom talking about sparks one day. You remember the Jiffy Pop popcorn maker?
Yes.
Because I wanted to give my mom a show, I tossed it in the full bathtub just to watch sparks fly. She wasn't impressed. She was not impressed. We lived by the railroad tracks when I was a young kid. Millie's love was so deep, so hilarious. She put me in a torso harness, 20-foot rope, and tied me to the backyard water spigot. Told the girls, you make sure you didn't get in any trouble. Love you, Mom. She was a nurturing and loving mother. I later found out she hated to cook. But she always had food on the table. Made a lot of mac and cheese, a lot of macaroni and cheese, but on special nights, she not only put hot dogs in the dish, she cut the hot dogs at an angle. Fancy dinner. So, we often ask Mom, what are you making for dinner? She would instinctively say, reservations? One thing she did love to make was her pumpkin bread. She got the greatest kick out of giving her loaves of love to the yard guy, the security guards here at Hawthorne, co-workers, even perfect strangers. During her life, not just through words, but by example, she taught me the value of living life every single day. Not that tomorrow's not promised. It's seriously a gift. She taught me some valuable lessons in this life that you and I have, this one life. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is what we have. Okay? So she said, take chances, be bold. And I encourage everybody to do that as well in her memory. She taught me the value of forgiveness, because we all make mistakes and we're all going to make mistakes. It's not that we made mistakes, it's how we recover from it, how we learn from it, and move forward in His name. She took special interest in each person's name, a waitress, a store clerk, the guys on the trash truck, to make them feel special, and she was genuinely thankful for their service. She was an Ohio State Buckeyes football team super fan, as you may know. Go Bucks! Sorry, Kirk. Whoever Kirk is, he's our buddy, arch nemesis. There you are, man. I don't know what you got a better kick out of, watching the football game itself or watching the senior tuba player high-stepping out of the ranks to dot the I when the band wrote Script Ohio on the football field at halftime. I'm so grateful that she set me up on a blind date with Joanne. Turns out Millie and Joanne sat on the back row at church for a year together. She didn't even check with me. Nobody loves you like your mama, right? Who better to pick out your future mate at church, no less? Last page. The sign in her office really spoke to me. I think it's around here somewhere. It says, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in an attractive, well-preserved body, but rather to skid in sideways with a chocolate bar in one hand, a glass of wine in the other, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, screaming, woohoo, what a ride! She invited me into her profession, and she exemplified the value of creating personal relationships and a work ethic second to none. What really impacted me on her first day, she said, your mission is to become a great communicator, a great educator, so people can make a good decision for themselves. And it's just I've seen her help thousands and thousands of families. It's just a wonderful thing. So Millie's sister and brother-in-law are beloved Aunt Sheila and Uncle Sam. Thick as thieves, really, these guys, thick as thieves. The best example of love and family you can have. Many of us here are better people because they open up their home, their farm in Southeast Ohio, to create Camp Wanna-Scream. That's a whole nother story, kids. After not having kids underfoot for about 20 years, seeing how our family, huge family, is getting spread out geographically over the last 15 years, they invited, over the years, 50-plus great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, friends to a week of camping, nature hikes, canoeing, swimming, patriotism, love, and education. The only requirement is that the campers be able to use the restroom by themselves and tie their own shoes. So that's a lot of shoes, right? Remember that love conquers all, echoing what Johnny said in the opening. Love got the group of us here together. We could take great solace in looking forward to being with Millie again, dancing on streets of gold. Well done, my mother. In earthly life, well lived. Go with God now. We'll see you on the other side.
The thing that speaks loudest to me about Mom wasn't words she actually ever said. It was who she was. In her fun-loving, unique, quirky ways, she was an inspiration, an encourager, a mentor, a cheerleader, an advocate, a great listener, a friend. Mom. Without even knowing it, it was in the little things, like the way she'd call and say, what's going on? I've been praying for you. Her timing was always perfect. She'd just know. And with her upbeat, always saw the bright side of herself, she would softly let me know it was all going to work out. Her zeal for life and love for people has rubbed off in those who stand before you today and in the hearts of most in this room, as well as countless lives she touched, even if it was just to brighten up your day. In the song, This Is Your Time, which could have been written about Mom, it says, she swam in the sea, drank of the deep, embraced the mystery of all she could be. This was her time. This was her dance. She lived every moment, gave nothing to chance. She did live every moment. No matter what life dealt her, she embraced the season, and her feisty joy was contagious. Her father was much the same. He always saw the silver lining. She wasn't born into the perfect family, nor was her path straight. Truth be told, that's what I love most about who we are, about our story, that God stepped in and made the crooked path straight. Not because we're worthy or special, but because we said yes to His plan, and He has been true to His word in redeeming and restoring a people in need. Isaiah 52:16 says, I will bring the blind by a way they did not know. I will make darkness light before them and crooked places straight. These things I will do for them and not forsake them. Long after her life, the great love of God for His people will continue to resonate with those she knew and walked with. I leave you with the thought from the song posed so well, this is your time, this is your dance. We have the choice every single day, whatever time we have on this earth, to impact our world, those around us, those we do life with on a daily basis. And as Mom would put it, do you know my friend Jesus? And now, on behalf of my siblings, we'd like to ask that our bench mama and dad come up along with the rest of the original 10, now 9. Would you come? This is our support system, and this is the group that completes the circle that began. And on behalf of Mom, thank you for who you are, who you've been, and going forward, shining even brighter together. Does anyone have anything to share from the rest of our...
I want to say one more thing. So, I want to share one more thing. So, Sheila has always been our bench mama. So, when Millie passed, I said, hey, you're first string now. Very good. Anybody?
No,
Very good.
You guys said it all.
Thank you. Very good. All right, very good, very good. Senor Bowman. Very good. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I'm not an overly emotional one, but it's kind of hard to follow that. It's like a lot of my heroes in one place, you know? Dang it. Okay. Thanks for that. Cool. My wife Christina and I get to work for an organization that sends us around doing a whole bunch of different things, but a couple summers ago, we got to work in the mountains of Colorado for a month. We got to take our daughter with us, and we got to serve at this backpacking camp, and we stayed at the base camp, and we served kids that would show up with their leaders and go out into the mountains and hear about Jesus. And we just did kind of the base camp work, kind of the behind the scenes stuff. And working at that same camp is a dear old friend of mine, someone I've known for 15 years. His name is Ron Morgan. Many people call him Captain Morgan, or our fun. But Ron, in 2009, unexpectedly, and he was 72 at the time, his wife was 68. In 2009, his wife, Pat, passed away of a brain aneurysm, very unexpectedly, and it was heartbreaking. Around that same time, I had met a lovely lady named Christina Jagatic, who's back in the back there, and we started doing our thing, and then we're married, and eventually brought us to 2016, where we got to spend that month together. But a few years previous, Christina's dad, also somewhat unexpectedly, at the age of 53, had a very short battle with cancer and passed away. And Ron knew about this. Christina knew about Ron's story as well, and there was kind of this understanding, this tenderness that they had for each other, but they hadn't really ever spent some time together. And maybe our second or third week there, Ron showed up at our cabin door at like 6:30 in the morning, and we were still getting Frankie Jane ready for the day. And Ron, at the time he was like a 75-year-old man, was like, "John, can I take your wife for a walk?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure, go ahead." Christina, good luck. I don't know what's coming. It's a very remote part of the Rocky Mountain wilderness. It's 26 miles from the mailbox for the place, so you're out in the middle of nowhere. And it was about 30 degrees that morning because it's super cold when you're that high up. And about 20 minutes later, Christina returned in tears. And I was kind of like, "Ron, what the heck, man? Like, what went down?" And Ron took Christina for a walk, and it was mid-June, and he took her. So many pieces of this sound weird, but he took her behind his cabin and to where some tall grass was, and pointed out some flowers. There were purple and white flowers with yellow centers, and they're very akin to the columbine, which is the Colorado state flower, but it's a different type of flower called a wild iris. And Ron was like, "Christina, I wanted to show you this." And Christina was kind of like, "Oh, neat, Ron, I'm cold." But Ron was like, no, these are called wild irises, and what's beautiful about them is they only bloom for 2 weeks a year. They pop up, and then they go away. And Christina was, maybe intrigued, but still didn't quite make the connection. And Ron said, sometimes we only get a certain amount of time with beautiful things. And these flowers make me think of my Pat. And I thought they'd maybe make you, think of your dad, too. And I feel like that's a fitting story as we honor Millie today, my grandma Nana, in that we weren't shortchanged a bit with Millie. Nearly 82 years. I got 32 years of having a dear, sweet grandmother who loved me. And so we weren't shortchanged a bit. But it's a good reminder that sometimes we only get a certain amount of time with beautiful things, including Millie as her time is wrapped up here. And it does make me think, it makes me reflect, as I think maybe it will for you too, is what do I hold on to when it comes to Millie? What do I think of? What do you hold on to? What do you think of when you think of Millie Bell Lewis, when you think of Nana? There are a few things that make me smile and laugh, and then there's some more serious things too, but like, for some reason, the thing that I think of right away when I think of Millie Lewis, when I think of my grandma Nana, is that when my wife or I would visit and ask for a bottle of cold water, she's, oh sure, I got bottled water out the wazoo in my fridge, so let me get you a fresh one. And she'd bring an obviously used water bottle with lipstick on it that she had filled back up. And so I think of Millie very quickly with that. And if you do that, that's fine. I'm not here to judge. As has already been referenced, I also think of Ohio State and her, beautiful golf cart, as I have seen. I think it was Kirk was the name. There's a Michigan one out there that I don't like. I also think of a year and a half ago, my wife and daughter and I got to come visit. As we kind of saw the writing on the wall that Millie's time was winding down, and my daughter was 2 at the time. And was very mobile and very intrigued in all things pink, brightly colored, girly. So as soon as she got into like Millie's bathroom where all her wall of jewelry was, it was a blast. And I feel like I will always think of Frankie Jane standing on a little stool, getting dressed in earrings and in necklaces as Millie just dolled her up. And so I think of that. But I also think of what has already been referenced, Camp Wanna-Scream. Which I think a good number of people in the room are still a little confused as to what that means. And that's okay. I don't know if we could really explain it to you. But we can explain the value behind it. We can explain the meaning behind it. I have always thought, and it's funny that it's never been a topic of conversation around Camp Wanna-Scream, the name is somewhat ironic, or at least funny. Like, screaming about something is usually not a positive thing. Who's the one who wants to scream? Is it Sam, that all these people are descending upon his farm? Like, is it Sheila and Millie who can't stand another kid saying nar-nar? Who is it that actually wants to scream? But when I think of Millie and when I think of Camp Wanna-Scream, I think of just the space that was created for grandkids and many who weren't Sheila or Millie's grandkids, just space that was created for them to encounter Christ, for them to encounter authentic relationship with each other, detached from the distractions of this world. It's a very unique place. It's very, I think all of us grandkids, whether or not we realize it, got to experience something that very few people get to experience in those week-long time periods at Camp Wanna-Scream in Shade, Ohio. Some of the things, there are quite a few different things that I could talk about when it comes to Camp Wanna-Scream, but I want to point out just 2 things that I feel like above all else Camp Wanna-Scream taught me. The first is that we embrace family with all its ups and downs and all its mess, regardless, because it's important. And I feel like Camp Wanna-Scream taught me that because growing up, I was always the kid that was like maybe chasing after like Sean or trying to figure out what Tripp was up to, or I didn't feel like I had my place and I wanted to follow someone, and oftentimes I'd end up with like a cow pie thrown at me or something, and those were some of my memories that were kind of like tough. But I feel like that's an authentic relationship with another person, is that you have the peaks and the valleys and you love them regardless. And I feel like Camp Wanna-Scream was the first place that taught me that. The other thing that Camp Wanna-Scream taught me is that my grandmother and my great aunt had a strong desire for me to know Jesus. And as a kid, I didn't really connect those dots. I didn't fully understand until maybe I was, like around 18 or 19 or something like that, kind of beyond my Camp Wanna-Scream days. But hindsight, I can look back and know that kind of the crux, the pivot of Camp Wanna-Scream was that space was created for grandkids to potentially know Jesus. And it wasn't heavy-handed, it wasn't in our face, but the space was there so that we could figure it out on our own. Because if the Lord calls us, we got to respond. It's not going to be forced down our throat and have a good result. And I feel like Camp Wanna-Scream was the first place I experienced that. As my mom said, I believe it was my mom who said this, Millie did joke about having her memorial service before she passed, because she did. She wanted to hear the beautiful things that were going to be said about her. But 2, and I never actually heard this from her, but I would imagine it to be true, is that she would want someone to tell you about Jesus. Be it a reminder, be it maybe you're hearing it for the first time, maybe you're hearing it in a new light, or haven't heard it in a while because you just don't want to deal with it anymore. But if we were truly going to honor Millie today, we would probably need to talk about Jesus and who he is and what that means to you, what that could mean for you. I think some of the siblings, some of my aunts and uncles referenced that Millie started to follow Jesus, and maybe around midlife. The age I've heard is that around 47, Millie had a turn. And I never actually heard this story. I've actually just heard it kind of recently, around that time period. But it makes me think, from what I understand, is that Millie, in some ways, had found her life to be a bit sideways and a bit of a mess. And I don't mean that backhandedly. I mean that exactly as it is, because I think you've all had moments like that too. Seasons of life where you realize, like, what's going on? Like, how did I find myself here? How did this go sideways? How did that relationship break? How did this fall apart? And she kind of had a moment where she got to ask, who's she going to belong to? Is she going to belong to the world, or is she going to belong to God? And she had to start wrestling with that question. And there's an author named Henry Nouwen who has a book called The Return of the Prodigal Son, where he asks that poignant question. And I want you to have the opportunity to ask yourself that question right now too. I'm going to paraphrase Henry's words, but I feel like it fits for whatever happened when Millie was 47 years old, and I feel like it might fit for you too. Because when I first heard these words 14 years ago, it wasn't like my life instantaneously was different, but it was almost like the hinge of a door, where maybe the door opened up a little bit, and exponentially over a long period of time, where that door ended up is very different than where it would have been if it would have stayed in the door frame. Does that make sense? And I feel like maybe something like that happened for Millie. But the way Henry said and talked about it is, at issue here is the question, to whom do I belong? To God or to the world? Many of my daily preoccupations suggest that I belong more to the world than to God. A little criticism throws me down. A little praise raises my spirits, and oftentimes I find myself like a small boat on the ocean, completely at the mercy of the waves. And I find that my life isn't actually like a struggle to follow Jesus, but it's just a struggle for survival, because the waves are just flashing over my boat over and over and over again. And it isn't a holy struggle. And it's found in this problem that I'm seeking my identity in the world. And it's a world that tells you, I love you if you're intelligent, wealthy, and good looking. I love you if you can produce much, sell much, buy much. But the problem with the world telling us that you're loved if you can do these things well is that you can't answer all of them well. And then you're kind of left stuck, where you keep trying this cycle over and over and over again. Like, is this where I'm going to find my identity? Is this what I'm going to be about? Will I find the love that I'm seeking here? And in the end, you just spend you spend your whole life just going in circles over and over and over again. Because the world's love is and always will be conditional. And it leaves you in bondage because you can't, adequately respond to all those different questions. And I feel like around the age of 47, Millie had a moment where she kind of realized that she wanted to go to a place that would truly satisfy the deepest cravings of her heart. And it's not, again, like she had a huge epiphany and revelation and life was different, but maybe she took a step in a different direction. And there's a story in the Bible that talks about that too. It's one that I've already referenced with the Henry Nouwen book, and it's one we're going to read, or I'm going to read to you. But it's called The Return of the Prodigal Son, or the Parable of the Lost Son. And I feel like this is our God. This is Millie's God. Maybe it's not your God. Maybe it is your God. But this story encapsulates it all, in my opinion. And it's about a son who goes off to figure out his own way, but eventually does choose to take a step back toward the father. And the father's response is the crux of it all. So I'm going to read a story. If it's hard for you to be read to, like it is for me, deal with it, because I'm reading. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them." I'm just going to point out right there, like at that time in history, to receive your property or to receive the estate from your parents, that would only happen when they would die. So the son, in essence, is saying, "Dad, I kind of wish you were dead. Just give me my money so I can go." That's how backhanded, that's how punchy this really was. Oh, and before I read the rest of it, I have a challenge for you. As I read this find a word, find a phrase that moves you, that catches your attention, and hold on to it. And we'll circle back to that. Find a word, find a phrase that moves you. And maybe you don't know why, but this word or phrase caught you. I'll start over. Jesus continued. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to feed pigs in his fields. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to his father, 'I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near to the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of his servants and asked him what was going on. 'Your brother has come,' he replied, 'and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' The older brother became angry and refused to go into the party, so his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, 'Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him.' 'My son,' the father said, 'you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost, but now he's found.'" So whether it's the younger son or the older son that you identify with, you get to have an opportunity to choose to turn to the Father. Whether you've been running away, squandering, what you've been gifted with, and kind of you got to tuck tail and turn back, or if you're the older brother and feel like, "Hey, I've done my job well. You know what? Give me what I'm owed." He's doing the exact same thing his little brother just did before he ran off. But whether you're, whichever one of those you identify with, today, tomorrow, whenever, you get at some point to choose to turn to the Father and acknowledge that He's always with you and everything He has is yours. And if today or sometime soon isn't for you, that's fine. No worries. What you get to hold on to, though, is the truth that the Father will be patiently waiting, standing on His stoop, waiting to see your silhouette on the horizon so that He can run to you and embrace you and say you're loved. And I don't care what you've done. I don't care where you've been. I love you exactly as you are, and you don't got to clean it up. And that's who our God is. That's who Millie loved, and that's who Millie followed. To wrap up, I have another challenge for you. Well, I don't always know how to present it, but it's pretty straightforward. If you've been moved to emotion by Millie, be it anger, be it joy, be it happiness, be it sorrow at her passing, if you've been moved by Millie Bell Lewis, should you hope to grow at all, you got to respond. You have got to respond. And that's in life. If you're moved by something, should you hope to grow at all, you got to respond. She was moved by Jesus and she chose to respond. And she would want you to do the same thing. So again, if you've been moved by knowing Millie, should you hope to grow at all, you got to respond. Will you too create spaces for others to encounter Christ, to experience authentic relationship, to grow, knowing that they're loved? Will you too do that? I'm going to pray at the end. We're going to sing a few more songs right now. But thank you for listening.
That's a great sound. I like that. All right, we're going to play two more of Millie Lewis's favorite songs. And I wanted to share a little something. I actually, right after she passed, about a week and a half after we heard of her passing, I kind of got this picture in my head that I think was from the Lord. It was pretty cool, of her dancing up in heaven with Jesus. And she was like mid-30s, young again, and she was dancing. And the white light intensified, and she was smiling, and it was just beautiful.
Yes.
So this is a celebration of her life, you know, not a sad time, but a happy time.
Woo!
Yes. All right, we're going to do I'll Fly Away.
Away.
hands, bow some heads. We're going to pray to wrap this up. Lord, we thank you for Millie. We thank you for our sister, our mom, our grandmother, our aunt, everything that she was, all the titles that she carried. We thank you for the light that she was, and I pray that it's something we don't easily let go of. I pray today, just as has been said, can be a celebration to remember someone who loved us well, and I pray that that can propel us into loving others well too. We lift up the rest of our day to you, and we love you. Thanks for loving us. Amen. We have lunch for everyone, and it's pretty much ready to go, and you can start matriculating that way yourself, but I wanted to let you know, get the food and head to the tables. Don't eat in these chairs. After you get the food, in about 10 minutes, there's going to be a mic that could be passed around, and if you have a story or a small something that you'd like to share about Millie, you will have an opportunity to do that, and we'd love for you to keep that to 1 or 2 minutes. But we'd love for you to say who you are, what your tie is to Millie, since there are many of us in the room who don't actually know each other, but know that we're in this room because we love Millie. So you'll have an opportunity to do that, but the time is yours now, and you'll know when you have that opportunity, Mike. But thanks, guys.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, white girl flashing gangster. There's a picture.
Remember, it's video, so whatever you say is on tape.
Whatever you say is on tape. Try not to block the projector.
We gotta get you in the video there.
Yeah. We're promoting it, so they're not getting divorced. And we had to give them 1 week a year, no children.
As you're getting seated, you might notice some blue envelopes on your table. As you're getting seated and eating, there's some blue envelopes on the table. If you want to grab one of those, Cornerstone Hospice took care of Mom in the last several days. Consider a one-time gift or every week. Every week's better. Thank you.
Very good movie. You like it?
If you're interested in a 1 or 2 minute time frame to say your first name, how you know Millie, and maybe a funny or touching time that you spent with her, very good.
Good afternoon, I'm Chuck Strickland. I was the Sunday school teacher at the church in the class that Millie attended. I taught that class for almost 6 years while she was going there. And the funniest part of Millie was on Saturday morning, the first Saturday of every month, we had a fellowship meeting out at Perkins for breakfast. And while she was reserved for Millie in class, Sunday morning, all hands came loose. You never knew what she was going to come up with, what topic she was going to discuss, but she always had us in stitches every time she was there. So we miss her dearly, we loved her, everything she did, and said, it's a wonderful life. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Cindy Michaels, and I met Millie back in the 80s in a little town, Lehigh Acres. From that day, she has saved me. And her family has always been my family. But the nicest thing about Millie, I've learned some things from her. I've learned how to put my lipstick on without a mirror. She never, ever used a mirror. And I also found out if you walk into Perkins or any of the restaurants of such, and they come by with your ticket to pay the bill, you just say that table over there is going to pay it. And time after time, she got away with it. And the table over there would pay for it. So, you know, there's so many good things I get to remember. But the saddest thing I remember was when my kids didn't want me to be their mother, they wanted Millie to be their mother. because she was much more fun than I ever was. Precious lady and a precious family. Thank you.
Michigan Wolverines. Go ahead. You got 12 seconds. Millie would have wanted me to wear the shirt with the Michigan helmet on today, but I moved here 5 years ago. I had the helmet on my golf cart, and about 2 months later, I see this other golf cart with an Ohio State helmet on it. So I had to meet whoever that was, so I tracked Millie down. We became great friends, had some great conversations in the pool about her faith. She's going to have a great Easter tomorrow. And she would call the day of the Ohio State game every year. Wish us luck. Hope we had a great game. Hope nobody got hurt. She was just a terrific lady. I miss her.
I'm Liz Levy. I consider myself Millie's best friend. We used to go out to eat a lot together, and we'd go in the restaurant, and when the server would come and walk up to the table, Millie would say, "Hi, I'm here to brighten your day." So I picture Millie when she gets to the pearly gates and she meets St. Peter. She says, "Hi, I'm here to brighten your day." And I think she will. One other thing is Ray and I decided that Millie is the only person we know who wallpapered her bathroom with her picture.
Hello to everybody, and the gentleman who spoke said that we will not be meeting again like this in the near future. Some of you know my mother. I know Millie because I bought some packages from her. What's her nickname? What was Millie's nickname? Millie had a nickname. I can't think of it. Turner Gorman. Nobody mentioned that, but I think that's hilarious. But the reason that I'm here talking is because I met another person, an important person in Millie's life, at the pool in the locker room. One day, there was a lady sitting on the bench in the locker room, and I went in there and she goes, "Hi, do you know anything about cell phones?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "Well," she says, "maybe you can help me because I've been swimming laps for 15 minutes with my cell phone in my pocket." And so, come to find out that this lady's name was Sheila, and come to find out that she was Millie's sister. And I pretty much told her, I said, "Well, you can pretty much kiss that cell phone goodbye." And at that time, I couldn't think of what you were supposed to do, so I took the cell phone part of the battery out, put it in paper towels, and told her that there was something she could do that was right, which I couldn't think of. And that's how I met Sheila. This was 3 years ago, I guess, before she was still going back and forth. So, I'm glad to know them, and I know Tom indirectly as well. And Laura, who is Sheila's daughter, was the supervisor at the nursing home where my mother is now, as the weekend nursing supervisor. And for me, it's a very strange circle of people that I've met in this family.
Strange. Another risk taker.
Hi, my name is Diane, and I'm from the auctioneers. I mean, you all know who we are. We do the friendly tax sales for the residents here. Well, Millie was our #1 customer, and she was our inspiration. As much as she loved our house sales, she would just keep plugging away and come to a halt. So we were going to do something.
Hello, my name is Carol Devlin. And I wrote a poem about Millie. It says, "I remember Millie." When we first came to Hawthorne about 7+ years or so, some new friends, the Collins, told us about a lady named Millie who'd help us with our funeral woes. That was the last thing we wanted to think about in this new chapter of our lives. But we knew it was inevitable because we knew someday we'd never survive. We neither survived. One day we met this lovely lady and were invited into her home. We felt at ease with Millie, and after that visit, we knew we'd never be alone. At different activities, we'd see Millie. where there was lots of folks. She always had a big smile for us, and she sometimes had a joke. Millie liked to get dressed up, go out and eat, and maybe have a little fun. But she'd always say, each day's a blessing, just remember where you've come from. We'd go dragon boat paddling down the river past her house, sometimes just for fun. Millie would come outside, wait on her porch, and wave to us all in the hot Florida sun. Millie and Sister Sheila would always come to the house sales of the auctioneers. Millie loved all the people and all the deals she knew she could always find there. Sometimes she'd buy an item there, or maybe she'd buy two. Millie would often buy a little gift for that special friend she knew. It didn't take much for Millie to enjoy her bargain shopping that day, so with treasures in hand, she'd climb on her golf cart and slowly drive away. Millie went to the softball field, cheered on the teams, and ate a burger with Sheila, her sis. As she enjoyed her burger, she'd often say, life doesn't get much better than this. Millie came to exercise classes, exercise to music classes, whenever she could get out. She always had an announcement, a prayer request, or something for us to think about. Millie loved laughing with her friends at my daughter's laughter yoga class, and with big sunglasses and maybe a hat, she'd join us in the water and had a blast. Millie had a bunch of girlfriends who would meet at her home each Monday night for a chick flick movie, a glass of wine, and the time together was such a delight. I was lucky to be part of that special group of gals. Then Millie and her friends had also become my friends and pals. Denny and I got to know Millie a little better each and every year. She shared with us some of her life stories and some of her past careers. We got to know her family some Sister Sheila, brother-in-law Sam, and some of her kids, grandchildren, and some childhood friends, and she told us about what they all did. Millie loved her family, and when she talked about them, her face would always beam, for they were truly lucky to have her in their lives. To us, it surely seemed. She sometimes would call us about a doorbell not working, a computer glitch, or maybe a broken light. Now those requests won't come anymore because with Millie gone, it's more like a silent night. And Millie loved to get a pedicure and show off all her toes, wearing her flip-flops, sandals, wherever she would go. One Sunday afternoon at Millie's place, Millie, her sister Sheila, and I got together to give each other facials. Oh my, what a wonderful disguise. And at Christmas holidays were especially exciting, to Millie's delight. She asked us once, would you guys consider putting up my outside Christmas light? That became a cherished tradition to put up Millie's lights, an enjoyment for us all. Denny would put up all the lights, head home, and then he'd get a call. Denny, could you add a little bit more color to the lights on the house whenever you can? Millie loved Christmas and all the lights, and she didn't want the holiday to end. Denny would change those lights, add a few more colors to brighten another tree, and Millie got extra hugs for him, and the thank yous were times 3. She'd give us another big hug, and then a wonderful treat, whether homemade dessert or special kind of bread for us to take home and eat. Millie told us many times that she wasn't scared of death and she was ready to go. But we said, Millie, we miss you. We aren't ready to let you go. We all love you so. But we won't cry for you, Millie Lewis, because now your body's well again. And in some way, we are all so very thankful for the imprint that your life has had on everyone here today.
I'm Bob Shoup, and I happen to be with the National Cremation Society. Anybody ready to sign up? Anyway, I have had the pleasure of meeting Millie some 18 years ago and working with her. It's been an absolute riot. We were known as the dynamic duo. We were dubbed the Lone Ranger and Tonto. And that name never left our side. She had a quality of life. And she used to say there's 4 words in the Bible to stand by her. The first word is Jesus. The second word is family. The third word is faith. And the last word is attitude. She said if you have attitude, you can face any day, any trial that you have, as long as you have Jesus and faith. I will always remember her charming words. I took her home on after our Christmas party in December, and she had a trial getting in and out of the car, and a trial getting in the house. So I sat down with her and I said, "Kimasabi, that was your last ride." She looked at me and says, "No, the Kimasabi is French for Lone Ranger." Anyway, she said, "No, I have one more ride to take. My horse Silver will come get me and take me through the big horizon." And he did just that. When she got to the other side, she said to me, "We can always send smoke signals to each other." When she got to the other side, she was greeted by angels carrying purple flowers. And then she looked up and she saw the face of Jesus. He smiled and came forward and hugged her and said, "Welcome home." She looked at him and says, "Thank you, but I'm not here to help you straighten out the world below. You've got a lot of work to do." Then this morning, she sent me another smoke signal. She said, "What the heck is my family thinking about down there? There's a big celebration, and I'm smiling down on all of you and glad that you are all here. I miss you, Kimasabi. We'll meet on the other side. God bless and ride on."
Amen. Very good.
I am Tim Bowley. I'm married to Melanie, so Millie was my mother-in-law, and I'm absolutely her favorite son-in-law. We can argue about that later. I did want to share a story that I really think kind of, when I think of Millie, I heard that phrase earlier, this is what I think of. A couple of years back for Station Andrew's wedding in Atlanta, Melanie and I agreed to meet Millie in the Atlanta airport. And Millie wasn't traveling as smooth as she used to when she was a little younger. And it turned out that she arrived an hour and a half before us. And we were kind of worried. You know, she's at the Atlanta airport alone for an hour and a half. And I underestimated Millie. We got off our flight, changed concourses, found where she's at. We entered a food court out in front of a Burger King. And we noticed 12 or 15 soldiers in uniform, and someone in the middle with them, and we noticed that they were all holding hands and praying. And we went up, and it was Millie, surrounded by soldiers who were on their way. They were being deployed to Iraq. And we came up and let them finish their prayer, and some of them hugged her and said goodbye, and one of them stayed nearby, and I'm really good with ranks. A lieutenant, he was obviously the officer, and I introduced myself and I said, "You have to excuse my mother-in-law, she's just crazy about men in uniform because of all the men in uniform in his family." And he was really offended. He goes, "No, your mother-in-law has really meant a lot to us, and she shared with us." And it was really beautiful, and Millie hugged these soldiers that she had just met in the last hour and a half. And we got in the car, and I said, "Millie, you told that officer that you would email him when he's overseas." And I said, "Did you share your email address?" And she goes, "Yeah, I gave him my business card." And I thought, I don't know if he deployed to Iraq that he had Millie's business card with him. But that's just a little story about my mother-in-law, Millie, and I'll always remember that.
Very good.
Millie was at a Christmas party that my husband and I attended in mid-December. And she asked to speak to the group. She thanked everybody. And she said that the hospice nurse had told her that her cancer had metastasized to her bones. And that it wouldn't be long now. After digesting the news, I went over to Millie and I put my arms around her. And I said, "I finally had figured it out. Why you had been with us much longer than the doctors ever expected you to be.
You got my bust.
He left you here as an example for the rest of us, so we could see what faith, courage, dignity, grace, and love look like. She did her job well.
Any other victims? Any other risk takers? You in? John Henry.
Hello, I'm John Henry Tice. I am a great nephew. Yeah, Camp One streamer. And Grandma Nana was always amazing because she had this huge personality that filled up the room, and she was always closing. She was always selling. And I remember one time when I was heading to Korea for a year to teach English, go abroad, and she said, "Oh, I want to talk to you before you go." And so she said to me, I was like, "John Henry, you should really think about his cremation." Because what's perfect about it is, if you die over there, they'll ship you back. And I think I was 20-some odd at this point, and I didn't take her up on it. She didn't close, but she never held it against me.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Wanda Stigler, and I have known Millie most of my adult life, for sure, because we went to high school together. So it's been quite a few years. And when Millie wanted to move into Hawthorne, she came to see me and asked me if I would take her around places that weren't mobile homes, because she had never lived in a mobile home. She didn't think she wanted to. So I took her every place that I knew around here, and we pulled back in Hawthorne, and she said, "Well, don't you have anything for sale here?" And I said, "Yes, but you said you didn't want to live in a mobile home. But I knew it was a house that you might want to move into." So I introduced her to the real estate agent, and she bought the house that I thought that she would. And she had great times in it, and we had a lot of parties. I love her dearly. I still can't believe that she's gone, but she will always be in my memories.
Big one.
Thank you. I'm not much of a speaker, but I will tell you, Millie was a love of our life. I'm Joyce McGill. My husband, Milo, played for Ohio. So what do we say? OH? Ohio. All right. And if you're from Michigan, I'm sorry. However, we do root for you occasionally. Do want to say that everybody knows Millie as Buckeye Millie. I'm sad to say that. Love y'all.
I am Josh. I am one of her many grandsons. Camp One streamer as well, yes. Just a quick anecdote. So a lot of the things that we did with Grandma and growing up, playing cards was a big thing. We played a lot of Spike Malice. I'm not with the card games, but that's probably the one we played the most. And I remember one time, we been playing for like an afternoon, and it got kind of intense. And I remember my mom was in the other room doing something. She overheard her berating me about some play that I could have done better. She's always trying to make me a better card player for whatever reason. And she came over, she sat down, she's like, "Oh, what's going on? Why so intense?" And then just came off and said, "Well, he's gonna run with the big dogs. He said I learned how to do it right." I think I was like 5, playing cards, going against big dogs. So yeah, that's all I got.
My name is John Tice. I am the oldest son of Sheila and Sam Tice. Now, I am not like Millie at all. I am an introvert. That means I hide. But if they give me a mic, and it's okay, I can hide behind the mic. One thing I love about Millie is that when she came in the room, all of Millie came into the room. And it's been mentioned before, but introverts especially, we like to hide ourselves. We'll bring part of ourselves in the room, and the rest of it will hide from the other people. Especially because we want people to like us. But Millie would come in with her whole self, and she would be fine, if you liked her, and the parts of her you didn't like, you can accept that or not. And that's because I think she was very secure in her Savior. She was secure that He loved her, not because of who she was, but because who He was. And that's kind of helped me understand and grow as an introvert and understand I can try to please people or I can try to please God. And what I've learned that from Millie is that I don't have to hide. I can bring my whole self in the room. I still hide, but I'm better at bringing my whole self into the room, knowing that God doesn't love me because of who I am. He loves me because of who He is. And that's made all the difference. But Millie is a great example of that. And I love her, I'll miss her, but I will see her again.
Well, this is for the chick flicks, which we did every Monday, right, gals? No men allowed. It was a wonderful, wonderful time. And we are continuing the tradition in Millie's honor. And because we love girls' night on Monday night. But the thing I remember most about Millie is with the Dragon Club. She has a lot of spirit and energy, as you all know. And she decided to get a pep club together for a big race into berries. So the Central Pennsylvania, Florida Dragon Boat team from Hawthorne wears bright orange, and she went out and got hundreds of bright orange pom-poms, got her team together, got a song together, got a chant together, and got over 100 people from Hawthorne to show up to the banks into berries. We're this little puny team that's, half baked and half ready to go. And the whole communities are watching us in their orange everything. And we went on to win our division. So I think Millie had a lot to do with what happened that day. She was driven to get all of us out there and to represent Hawthorne and what fun we have here. So her joy continues on.
Amen. Thank you.
We moved in about 5.5 years ago. And we were probably there about 4 hours, and Millie was there. Introduced herself, and we knew basically everybody in the neighborhood. From then on, we always got together Friday night, well, any night. We'd go over and have a glass of wine with her, just talk about different things.
Deck party.
Yeah, snack party for sure. We took Sam, Sheila, Millie, I think even Tom, took them up, we went to our favorite shrimp place up the river on the boat, and I think she quite enjoyed that. We had a good time, and got to know all the rest of the family over the years, and it was our privilege to know her, and that's good. Thank you.
When we went home in April, it would be 6 months before we saw Millie. And about 3 months after we got home, we started getting emails. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? A few weeks later, the band's been practicing. When are you coming home? They can't wait. The next one, a couple of weeks later, would be they polished all their instruments and they're getting tired. Their legs are getting sore from marching. When are you coming home? So of course we have to email her back and say we're on our way. And when we got there, she always had wine on deck, and we'd have our welcome home party without the band. But we had a lot of fun with Millie over here. She made sure that we knew about all of her children. She introduced us to them as they